Good afternoon, all of you. The fundamentals of ecology and biodiversity is what we are quickly taking. Climate as the determiner, wherein we had temperature, so URI and stenothermal specimens we talked about. Then we added water, precipitation. So hygrophyte, xerophytes can be distinguished. Hygro water surplus, zero water deficit. By default, you can add on in between mesophytes, which becomes quite an evident kind of choice. Moderate water availability. However, because we have maximum of our surface as salt water, so automatically with water, we take into reference euryhaline and stenohaline organisms. Then we talked about light, and with light, we talked about thermal stratification. I want to proceed from here. Determined by climate and is also determined by biotic components. As soon as I include biotic community, the first thing that we have to talk about is adaptations. You will say we are already aware of adaptations as some of them are URI organism, some of them are steno organism. URI can be thermal and haline, and so can be steno. I have understood that we are having the reference of these as determined by temperature and salinity. Largely, URI organisms relates to, it's largely, it's not an absolute state. Homeostasis. Automatically the requirement. Maintain a constant internal environment despite of variations outside. Regulators versus conformers. Thermoregulation, osmotic regulation, thus bigger range of survival. Mammals are very good example. Conformer in comparison accounts for 95% plus animals, all plants do not maintain homeostasis, but because conformers can have dormancy, these are synonymous terms applied to the different specimens. So I'm writing all of them because we might have a requirement in our prelims examination. Hibernation, estivation, migration. This all is about suspending activities. This is leaving unfavorable location. Dormancy is applied to plants. Hibernations are applied to land animals. Polar bear hibernate. And estivation is applied to nectons. I've told you nectons are fishes. All swimmers falls into the category of nectons. I want to create a box item with adaptation. Right time to talk about it, and then we'll proceed. With adaptations, there are at least 3 prominent rules that we should be aware of. One is called Allen rule. 2 is called Bergman rule. And 3 is called Wilson. This basically depicts out what we can correlate with adaptation, nothing else. It is actually relating to the rules applied for justifying the adaptive characteristics of different specimens, right? So I'm taking up the reference of them. When I talk about Allen's rule states that, so I write very brief, I think that will be sufficient. Colder climate, endotherms have shorter limbs plus round and compact shapes. Bergman rule states that Opposite will be applied to the warmer climate. So I'm just writing one term perspective, the other automatically comes in. Colder climate, endotherms, good example of adaptations. Very good example of adaptations. If I'll be having more exposed limbs, I'll be losing out on my body heat. Heat gain and heat loss is the function of surface area. Colder the climate, larger the body size. Bergman rule. We know that we have organisms with the thick fur coating if they are right there into the colder climate. Wilson rule can easily be applied to yak, gazelle. They have got very thick skin coating because they have to bear the cold, grim winters that we experience in Tibetan plateau. Larger body size is very well depicted with polar bear. And when I talk about shorter limb, round, compact shapes, polar bear can be applied. Plus, you can easily take up the reference of reindeer, antelopes. Adaptation with uristeno, regulator, conformer, estivation, hibernation, dormancy, migration, Ellen's rule, Bergman rule, Wilson rule, all that. Bye bye, class. Take care.